okay, where I create some activities or games in Scratch, the programming language, and show you how I made them. I was really interested in classic video games like Super Mario Brothers and all those sort of things, and I was looking at Breakout, the game where you have a paddle and a ball and you have to hit bricks, and I thought I'd slowly but surely see how I'd build that game, starting from a point where we'd display the bricks on the screen and we have the ball bouncing around. I'll introduce the paddle in the next session just to build it up over time. But what I'm interested really in terms of Scratch is if I wanted to have 50 or 60 bricks, and having to create a different sprite for each one, it's a lot of sprites and a lot of coding, which means your memory and your you'd have trouble with memory, and then the game might lag a little bit. So what I wanted to do was explore cloning. I just want to show you what it looks like. So when I press play, here I get my bricks, and basically I've decided to go for 4 rows of bricks, and the ball just bounces randomly around on the screen, and every time it hits a brick it disappears, so you can see how that goes. I also have added a little sound, which is not too much coding really. So what we'll do is we'll look inside and see the code of what it looks like. What we've got here is our stage. I've got nothing on it, I just have a blank stage. Of course, in later I'm going to try and make that look a bit more attractive. I also have the ball, and the ball has 2 bits of code, and basically the first bit of code really is to tell it to go to a particular space on the screen first of all. So there's the coordinates. I want it to point at an angle of 35 degrees, and then forever I'm just moving it around the screen. So that's all it's doing in this thing. And then ever to any time it receives message 1 again, I'll change that to a better name. I want it to turn. So when basically that is when it hits a brick, I've asked it to turn. Otherwise it will just keep going through the bricks. So every time it hits a brick, it's going to turn 90 degrees. So it's simple enough, that code. Really, it's where the interest in coding comes in, is with the brick itself. And basically what I have here is 2 bits of code. When the flag is clicked, and when a brick starts as a clone. So every time you clone something, there's a bit of code I want to give it, and that's really all I want to do. It's just we'll get to that in a bit. What I'm interested in first of all is creating the clones. So what I want to do is I want to start at a particular point. So I'm starting up here where my arrow is, and I want to create 12 blocks at the top. So I create a clone of myself and I move 40 steps to the right, and so I create 12 of those. Very simple, and that just creates a red row of blocks. After that I want to change y by -40, so I move it down 40 pixels. I set x back to -220, and then I'm changing the color of the bricks just to make it look more attractive. So that's why we got the 4 colors of bricks. We'll just show you what that looks like again. So they changed to an orangey yellow, green, and then the blue. So what I do is I repeat 12 again. That gives our yellow bricks. I repeat again, I just change the color to yellow, and then I've changed again, repeat 12, I change the color again to another color to get to the blue. I changed the effect by 60 there because 30 made it a kind of a greeny blue color, so I wanted really blue. And then that's it, I've just created them. Once that happens, when they start as a clone, so every time a brick is made, it remembers in itself that every time it touches the sprite 1, which is our ball, again I'll change the names of these to better names, it broadcasts message 1. Remember message 1, that was over at our ball. We basically the ball then just has to move 90 degrees, and then it plays this F major ukulele sound, which comes with Scratch, so it sounds like banging off something, and then it deletes itself. So anytime it touches the ball, so anytime the brick touches the ball, it will delete itself. So that's really what cloning is. When I was coding this first, I thought you'd really you would code that when from the ball's perspective, not the brick's perspective. So I was at the start, when I was learning to code using clones, I was using the I was saying if the ball hits one of the bricks, delete the clone. But basically what that did was it just basically deleted all the bricks anytime it hit when it hit 1. So that wasn't really that great. That's kind of all the coding for this. In the next video I'm going to add a bit more interactivity. I'll probably add the paddle in the next section, so that the ball hits off the paddle to move up around the screen, and basically also that I'll want it, if it hits the bottom, that that the game stops. After that, we'll start adding lives, scoring, all that sort of stuff, and by the end of it we should have a nice game of Breakout. You'll probably notice there that I have a block that every time it's been touched it isn't doing anything. I will need to update my code to hide that brick. That's basically the original block. As we go on later, as you'll see, all the script blocks are gone. We might add levels and so on. Maybe if we're feeling very adventurous, we'll add power-ups and stuff like that. So that's kind of the plan for the moment. But there we go, nice start on Breakout. Hope you've enjoyed this video. The link is in the description to the Scratch project. Feel free to use it, adapt it, and let me know what you did with it. But I hope that gave you a good introduction to using clones in Scratch. And we'll be back in next time with another video on the next level of this. Thanks a million, and we'll catch you then.